I did want to talk about more interesting stuff, but Bitcoin just grew recently and now we have to make an update on the price. So it is really nice that it hit actually the top of this rising channel once again. So the move is very confident and predictable, and it basically shows that, guys, everything is fine. We are going in the proper direction in a predictable manner. Go invest, don't worry, and so on. On the daily time frame, we see the increase of the volume, especially if you'll go to BitMEX, you will see that it's actually even higher than the other exchanges. And you can see that with the exclusion of this event around Tether, the volume was declining on the spot exchanges. And now we have the rise of the volume, which is close to the previous volume peak when we had a huge rise from $4,000 to $5,500 after the long accumulation period, and you would not expect that this small tick relatively to this one would give such a huge volume, but it did happen, and it seems like this is a really bullish sign. Also, we're above the previous high volume area when the price had a stop during the fall, so if we'll go above that, it pretty much means that the growth until $6,400 or a little bit higher doesn't have much resistance on the way, except just the round number of $6,000 itself. And speaking about the volume, it's interesting that on CME futures we have a huge volume around the growth from 4,000 to 6,000, and it basically didn't drop that much during that period of time, and we basically hold very high volume comparing to the previous background volume. So it seems like quote-unquote institutions, investors are entering the market, and there are a lot of speculation about that. For example, that Fidelity published the report where they say that nearly half of the respondents appreciate that digital assets are an innovative technology play, and also financial advisors 74% and family offices 80%, like a signal to everybody, guys, buy. Also, Tour de Mister published an update on his Bitcoin hodler net position changed with April data, which basically indicates how the long-term holdings of Bitcoin among the investors changes depending on the position of the price in the market cycle. So like when we have the top of the price, after a little sell-off, we start to see the accumulation of the hodlers positions, and then after the price reached the previous high, we see that those positions are getting liquidated, so people sell until the new all-time high and decrease on the price when finally again the accumulation of the holders positions increase. So we see that right now, despite of the Tether FUD, we see this increase in the hodlers positions, which basically another argument for the bull market taking place. And another things like Amazon Web Services open blockchains building service up to wider use, and the thing is that you can basically build your private blockchain in minutes using their service, and despite it doesn't really affect the price of Bitcoin, but still, I mean in a direct way, but still it is the factor which increases like awareness and mass adoption and interest among the tech companies, investors, and in general like overall public. So does it mean that all that like a change of the sentiment around Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies leads to this continuous rally of the price of Bitcoin? It seems like so. Also, we actually have a very long price growth and we didn't have much of the corrections. So far, it was like 20-25% within this channel, which is really nothing comparing to the situation in 2015 when we had this 30 or 40% drop. And speaking about 2015, we must say that actually we are above 200 days moving average, and if you'll compare it to 2015, we were above this moving average twice during the accumulation phase, around here and here. So at the first case we went much lower after that, having this massive correction, and at the second time we actually rallied much higher before the correction. So it's not clear whether the history will repeat itself again or we'll have this correction once again, but definitely we shall be careful expecting such possibility in the near future. And at the weekly time frame we are actually above 50 weeks moving average, which is a very bullish sign in general, and the price still holds above that. So as soon as we didn't fell below it, which is like $5,400, it would look really bullish. Moreover, we are above the baseline of Bollinger Bands and actually around the upper band for a while. And the same situation was at the phase of the market in 2015 when the price went out from the accumulation phase and started to constantly grow. So you see the price was either at the upper band or at the baseline of the Bollinger Bands every time. We didn't go lower than that during the whole bull market until 2018. So and if we will not fall below this line, which is like $4,200, then again we can't really talk about like making a new low or going to a new massive sell-off. And by the way, speaking about the trend continuation on the MACD, we had a little bit decrease in the histogram 1 week ago, which gave us a hint that maybe the rise started to slow down. However, with this recent rise, we see it return to the bullish territory, and moreover, the MACD signal goes closer to zero line, which is basically a confirmation of the bull market again, like similar to 2015. It was around here, although you remember that here we had this correction, so we can still return back. But in this case, things are a bit cleaner, and I would say the situation is too bullish. We see too many signals for the price being strong, with a little exception of the altcoins. This is the only thing which makes me a bit worried, that right now the only coin which is strong in the market is Bitcoin, and the altcoins are basically rather weak. And now the Bitcoin dominance is testing this level of 58-59%, and if it will not go lower, if altcoins will not catch up to Bitcoin, we may see the continuation of the growth of Bitcoin dominance, which would mean that a lot of the altcoins will go to their all-time lows, at least in their Bitcoin price, while I would prefer that the whole market will grow in the same manner. But in any case, let's look at this channel again, how the price will react, whether it will go down to the zero line or we will have the continuation of the price going within this trend. And as soon as we don't see any significant sell-off moving the price at least to this territory, I would remain bullish and will continue to wait new high. And by the way, right now we are at the all-time high for this year, so very promising, and the chances that trend will return to be massively bearish are getting lower and lower. Okay guys, that is it for today. I hope it was useful. Thank you for watching.